You can't be really intimate unless you can tell the truth. I read that from a fellow relationship coach, and it resonated with me after I talked about how long you're willing to put up with something in your marriage. I'm Lesli Dories, your marriage coach, creator of the Hero Husband Project, and owner of Foundations Coaching. And after I did last week's live and after I did my blog post about this, I heard from three different men, two of which have been in sexless marriages, long-term sexless marriages. And the other gentleman who I talked to, his wife just left him because she's been unhappy with their intimate life for 19 years. This is a really long time to live in a relationship that is not meeting your needs or your desires. And a lot of this is about people not either telling themselves the truth or they're not telling their partners the truth. And I'm going to tell you, talking about sex and intimacy is one of the hardest things that anybody will ever do. And I get why people don't want to go there. The two biggest troubles that show up in marriage are arguments about sex and money. And the reason why this is because those two things are so incredibly personal, right? That you're opening the door to being hurt. And we frequently cannot have really honest conversations if we are not both able to say hard things, but also to hear hard things. And this is why you're stuck. This is why so many couples are stuck, because talking about this is scary. And so we kind of pull back and kind of hope if we don't say anything, everything will be okay. Until you end up like the gentleman I was talking to last week, about, he's thinking again, once again, he's thinking things are okay. He knows there are some challenges, but he doesn't really see the big picture. He doesn't really see how hard or what she feels, because guess what? She wasn't telling him, or she wasn't telling him in a way that he could truly understand. And this is what happens when we kind of tap dance around, use euphemisms, don't really have the ability to sit down and have these tough conversations. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be completely honest and vulnerable with you right now. The hardest conversation my husband and I ever had was about our sex life. And we kind of broke a few of the rules of, my communication rules. But it was probably the one conversation that really made me feel fear for the health of my marriage. But to be fair to my husband, he was honest. I had to hear some things that were really, really hard. And luckily, our relationship was strong enough that we could have that conversation. And if your relationship isn't strong enough to have that conversation, I'm going to tell you that is already a red flag. And the way that we have these conversations, the way that we say hard things, the way that you can hear hard things is a skill, right? Not, we don't want to be blamed or shamed. That's not helpful. We don't want to blame or shame. That's not helpful. But if you're not honest, if you cannot tell the truth about your experience, what you would like to be different, and oh, by the way, what you are willing to do to make that happen, then you're basically just going to die, or your relationship is going to die the slow death of 1,000 cuts. So if you'd really like to know how to do this and not just kind of put your head in the sand and hope that somehow things are going to get better. Because I'm going to tell you, probably not. You need to be able to have these conversations. And I would really love to help you with that. So I would love to know if you have had these conversations with your partner. Have they been successful? Have things changed? Or is there this fear that if I say something, it's not going to be received well? And sometimes we still have to be honest, even though our partners aren't going to like to hear it. So if you're interested, please don't wait another day. Please get in contact with me. You can send me a direct message. You can send me an email at leslie@foundationscoachingnc.com. But please, these are the things that when they're not addressed will just eat at the foundation of your relationship until one of you says, I don't want to do this anymore. Or you're living in a relationship that leaves you feeling unloved and uncared for, which, by the way, is almost worse than not being in a relationship at all. So if any of this resonates with you, please, please, please don't just pin your hopes on someday some miracle is going to happen. You can be the miracle. And hopefully you found this helpful. And until next week, stay loving.